for 1 month, all of a sudden, it's all about Hispanic heritage, and
Yep.
then
The rest of the
it's over.
year.
And then it's over. And then we're again back to square one, right?
Exactly.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Heyman Marrero from Urbender, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majocha from UdoU.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Well, how are you, Sami?
I'm getting a little annoyed.
I wonder why. It's beginning of August. What's happening, Sami?
That now, all of a sudden, we're visible instead of invisible. Hispanic Heritage Month is next month.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's like fiesta.
Are you suggesting that you're getting more calls now?
Oh yes, well that you know what? It's becoming a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it's been in the last at least 3-4 years, and I'm like, what is this thing, right? That all of a sudden, come August, we all get these calls to sit on panels, to speak at these speaking engagements, to go to these gran fiestas, at the corporate level, and then also with like the local government, and it's like, oh, okay, so come on, let's do this, right? Who has the maracas? I'll bring my tuas, because this is the only instrument I know how to play. Right? And I mean, like, really? Are we doing this again?
Yep.
Every year. for 1 month, all of a sudden, it's all about Hispanic heritage, and then
the rest of the year.
Over. And then it's over. And then we're again back to square one, right?
Exactly.
Missing the mark and having real discussions all the time, given that 1 out of every 5 people that live in this country is Latino or Hispanic or Latinx or Latina, whatever you want to call it, right? Because now that's the other thing too, like all these labels and stuff.
Exactly.
It's just getting worse. So anyway, because we've had this conversation
absolutely
behind the scenes,
and similar to my friends in the Black community during leading up to Black History Month, or Asian Pacific Islander that's kind of the question of it's important to have the recognition in the months to call out the situations and the issues that are happening within these communities, but the ease of forgetting immediately after to engage or to follow through on the commitments and the promises made during the lead up month and the month are just God. Insane.
I'm so over it, Chris.
Yep.
Do you feel me, papi?
Well, I am part of the or as a gringo, I'm part of the community that starts making the phone call, so I'm aware of the and I've worked with and alongside and documented politicians on various sides of things and stuff, and so I know when it gets hot on the agenda. And then when all of a sudden it's what happened to
it fizzles away.
Right.
So you've seen it. You've seen it firsthand, right?
I've seen it firsthand.
Behind the scenes, how it's like, oh shit, we need to start. We need to start doing outreach for these communities on any given month, right?
Exactly.
To make sure that there's not like this big snafu.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it fizzles out.
Right.
Just as easily as, it became. And so we're at this juncture now, right? Where in this country we're experiencing this shift to
Mm-hmm.
becoming a global majority, right? And that's going to happen sooner now
Yep.
that Roe versus Wade,
Yep.
right, was overturned. And so the question is, how? How do we shift, right? To from like these token, let's just
I
call
was
it what
yeah,
it is, right?
tokenism. Yep.
It's tokenism, right?
Yep.
So at this point, is it or is it not,
Right.
right?
Right.
Some people might say it's not, because you need to highlight, I mean, seize the moment and highlight and make sure that
Yep.
you're able to have this space to have a hyper focused attention, right?
Absolutely.
To these diverse communities. But then when do we just break free,
Right.
From these, again, token times,
Yep.
right? And address the issues and its root causes,
Exactly. Exactly.
and really focus on celebrating diversity every freaking day, right?
Yep.
And just say, it's like just acknowledging and learning,
Right.
from different cultures and different lifestyles and different lived experiences, and just getting to know people for who they are, right? And
Exactly.
understanding their history, right? With real intent and understanding, and wanting to, address the issues that
Right.
affect people based on where they were born, their ethnicity, the color of their skin, their
Yep.
gender, and all of that, because we want to make sure that everyone lives with dignity. I mean,
Yep.
at this point, I don't know. I'm frustrated, annoyed,
Yep.
um, fired up.
I kind of liken it to just sort of thought of this analogy while we were talking here, but it's kind of like building a foundation for a house or an infrastructure, right? To actually make a change, put a roof over people's heads, have a kitchen to feed people and stuff, to actually have sustain people. And it seems like with the way the the celebratory or tokenism months work, it's like the construction crew comes out for a month, starts building the foundation, then leaves it for a year, and then next year they have to come back, clean it up because it got dirty over the year and stuff
Oh
like
my
that.
God.
Then put a couple more bricks and then leave, but the house or the structure never actually gets built.
Oh
Um,
my God. Yes. That is
so
exactly what's happening.
so it's not a matter of I think taking away the the months and to your point, the hyper focus, the actual taking on the issues during these celebratory months, but it's how do we enhance the other 11 months out of the year to get on the same level until those issues are actually solved, and then you don't need to put so much attention towards it anymore if people if the to your point, if the source problem, if the thing that's causing the cut is eliminated, then you don't have to keep putting band-aids on every year.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And so what are the issues? There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
So many, but just let's start with equal pay,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Equitable pay. Okay? Let's start with affordable housing.
Yep.
For entrepreneurs, equitable access to loan and financing, right?
Right.
Eliminating disparities in healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
right? That everybody could, damn, if you know, if you have an ailment, or that you're not saying, okay, should I go
Right.
to the doctor? I mean, that
Right.
shouldn't even
Right.
be a thing,
Yep.
right? Food insecurity,
Exactly.
the food deserts, right?
Yep.
Transportation, lack of reliable transportation,
Yep.
right? Again, depending on your zip code, where you're at, where you were born. All of these different elements, you can't how do you say, control these external factors, right?
Exactly.
That affect how you're able to move forward in life, right?
Right.
and
Right.
and and and, and so, and that's just a reality. There's enough information out there
Yep.
to support these statements, people. Just Google it, right?
Exactly.
Enough research. I'm done with the research. That's the other thing too, right? Can we just do something
Right.
to address all of these inequities consistently? Access, right? Creating a pipeline of talent in STEM,
Yep.
for example, right? In our workforce that represents the you know the demographic of our
Exactly.
country, and that are part of the innovation economy of the
Right.
future, which is not the future, that's happening now.
Yep. Yep. 100%.
You know, I mean, there's just so much, Chris, so much that I wish, you know, we would more consistently,
Right.
you know, address, not just you know, during Hispanic Heritage Month or Black History Month, or, you know, Asian American Pacific Islander Month, or Pride Month, or I mean, we can go on
Exactly.
and on, right? So I'm just frustrated.
I know. Me too. And the thing is, like, how do you know? I guess that is the question. So, because a month obviously and clearly is not long enough to solve these issues, or half of it is just raising the awareness or reminding people every year of the issues, and then by the time it actually gets to the point of going to work, that's when quote unquote the month is over or what have you, and then it just gets left in the dust again. So I don't know. I mean, I think we not us personally, but I think people should feel challenged, or we should issue the challenge to politicians and community stakeholders and people who live in the communities to look out for one another and actually continue the work after these celebratory tokenist months pass.
Totally, because then it's just like you're doing the same thing over and over again. I yes, absolutely, it's a band-aid.
Yep.
And it has to stop somewhere. And so, for example, everyone wants a grand fiesta, right?
Yep.
And so, especially like local governments, I know for sure that they, invite people, right, to participate in the Latino community. Of course, to have like the beautiful music and dresses and food and all of that, right?
Right.
But are these people getting paid? Are these artists getting paid? I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times they're just grateful that they're being invited, right? Well, I know it may seem like something crazy to propose, but we have to stop saying no.
Right.
No. You know, and I have friends, right, in the Latino community and the Black community that have, this year said, you know what? No, I'm going to pass, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Depending on the organization and depending on whether they have a long-standing relationship, right, with these leaders in the corporate sector or in the government sector, in the nonprofit sector, it's like, well, you're calling me now?
Exactly.
Well, then no, right? No, because people have to feel it.
Yeah.
They have to feel, right, the reality of a community that's saying, okay, wait, I'm gonna put my foot down, right, because I'm done with cookie crumbs.
Exactly. And I think in my experience and when I've witnessed actual change take place is I'm speaking to the other gringos out there, essentially, who, to your point, invite people into their space to celebrate the month or what have you. But where real change happens is, and to your point, to really feel it and to see it for yourself, you have to go out to these communities in the times when it's not the celebratory, when they're going through the struggles, when you can see like, oh, this is why this is an issue, or affordable housing, or this is why so we are in a food desert, and how are these people going to get to their doctor's appointment without a car and things like that. So that's where I think it hits the heart, and until it hits the heart is you're not, all you are is celebrating in a month. Yeah,
exactly. And I love that, Chris, because I think that's why we're family, right? Yep. Because we bumped into each other in one of these community right spaces, and it's like, oh, I see you,
Right.
right? And it's like, I see your heart. And then we've been collaborating for all of these years
Hmm.
now, because we're just aligned in the way, we see
Right.
these inequities.
And I'll say, as a person who grew up in America, a white male, in America, and have white privilege that comes with that. Admittedly, if I were to look at myself, back in high school and stuff, before I started engaging with BIPOC communities and actually going in to see things, when I was just hearing about it, or seeing black and brown people in white communities and stuff, I never felt it on the level that I felt it when I saw it for myself, and when I went to events where I was, where I did feel uncomfortable being like, oh, I'm the only white person here and stuff at first, and then
Hmm.
but the more you do it, the more people respect why you're there, and that if you're open and willing to learn, and that's where the real conversations happen that lead to positive change. So, yeah, I mean, I've lived it from the other side, and I look back on myself and I'm like, wow, I was ignorant or naive back
Hmm.
then to what actually happens, but it's hard for me to even communicate that to another white person if they haven't taken that time to go out and do that themselves. So,
Exactly. Yes. And so, I mean, again, I don't want to be a party pooper, people. You know, if you want to do this, I'm down. I'll show up,
yep,
right? But what are we doing here?
right, right,
That's all. That's our monthly musing for this month. It's like, okay, what does this look like moving forward, right? We're always talking about systemic, right? Racism,
yep,
systemic discrimination, like just st- things, processes that don't work anymore, right?
exactly,
And so then with everything, at some point, uh let's just figure this out, right? And it's, again, it's not that don't I'm not saying don't celebrate.
right,
I'm just saying, what are you doing the rest of the freaking year, right?
exactly.
I'm just saying, I'm enough, right? Enough.
and and
Because
and if, to those of you listening, if you were going to make that call, we're not saying don't make that call, but just plan to keep showing up. Don't make the call just for the month.
exactly, it's like, just, yes, exactly. And so, anyway, on that note, we'll be launching, a little campaign. Urbander's gonna prepare something that we're gonna launch, just to further this
Mhm.
conversation.
Well, sounds like a
Anyway,
plan.
thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris, for always helping me, right, process these things that, ay, Dios mío.
It's the struggle is real, but we will get there, and with our listeners and stuff, we will get there together. So just keep doing the good work, and again, show up, do your part. Be the
Yes,
change.
exactly. Thank you, Chris. I love you, brother.
Love you too. Bye, Semi.
Bye.
This concludes this episode of I Have Something to Say. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify and iTunes as well. There's more to come next week. And remember, if you have something to say, it's time to speak up.